We welcome Mr. Indraneel Chitale, a fourth-generation partner at the 80-year-old Chitale Group.
My family's been into the milk business, and this was a business that my great-grandfather started about 85 years ago. So what I'm going to talk to you about is idea of, firstly how Chitale as an association is something that works from farm to fork, and how do we build a legacy out of it where, there is continuity and there is sustainability out of it. So back in 1939, pre-independence, because of the British Railways, what my great-grandfather was able to start was a business where he started a B2B business of making dairy products and additives and sending them as a B2B product range to other brands based out of Mumbai. And because of the railways, we were able to transport the product from Sangli to Mumbai, and that way establish a market in Mumbai. The business started growing, things started getting better, and what we came to realize was that this was an era where there was no communication. So back in Bilodi, that time there was not even electricity there, so everything used to work on diesel engines. And along with that, there was no telephone, no internet, no WhatsApp. So we had no idea what was happening in the market, and that way if somebody was taking us for a ride, we would not have a clue. So that's when my great-grandfather realized that he should call his sons to join the business, and it was time that they start contributing to what the family wanted to do. So a market like Mumbai, where it was a very expensive place to live, it was very difficult to have a repeat customer for business. And that's why they decided that we probably need to move our business from Mumbai to Pune, and that's how we moved to Pune. The customer here was permanent, the customer here was stationary, so that way the demand was permanent, because they were going to keep serving and needing things again and again and again. And that's a very crucial part of a FMCG business. So that's how the story in Pune started, and we started distributing milk and certain milk products like Khoa, which is called Mawa, and other product which is called Chakka, which is a version of ricotta cheese. But that's also around the time when we realized that just doing B2B was not going to work, because the volumes were growing up, but we were not having a direct control into the market, and we had to establish our own brand. And that's why there were two brothers working in it, and then they decided to call it, it's Chitale is our surname, and it's two brothers, so let's make it Bandhu. So pre-independence it used to be called Chitale Brothers. After independence, with patriotism, I think it changed to Bandhu, and I think we continue to retain that with pride, because that's something that brings the Indian angle to it. So around that time, what we realized that if we were to make our own brand, we didn't really have a market which was ready. So we had to set a new market, because there were other players who were already doing business there. And that way, there was a lot of product that was being wasted if it was not sold. So what do we do about it? So that's when we started making condensed milk out of it and actually making mithai out of it. And that's how the name Mithai Wali became attached to the surname. And eventually the mithai business started. So that way, two lines of businesses were established by the first 10 years of the business. And by 1950, there were two independent verticals that Chitale Bandhu were doing. One was the dairy vertical, the other was the mithai vertical. And both were running in a very different manner, because one was low volume but high profit, the other was high volume but low profit. So they were all managed in a manner where they were subsidizing each other as the company grew. I think in the 70s is when the milk packaging changed from glass bottles to pouches. We were the first company in the country to actually start packaging milk in pouches. And from then the volume grew from say about 10-12,000 liters to as of today where we process about 8 lakh liters of milk. And in the 90s, we started franchising our stores, where as of today we have about 85 franchise stores across Maharashtra and Goa. Then we distribute to about 10 states, 2 union territories, and we export to about 33 countries across the world. And that way, spanning verticals where we have another division which is into fruit processing, another division that is into powder processing, and we also have a joint venture which is now working with farmers towards empowering them for better genetics of cattle, so that the productivity of animals itself is improved at the farm level. We are high-tech halwais, and the reason why we don't want to drop the halwai tag is simply because there's something that is very inherently Indian, and it's something that is identity of our country, because culturally food is part of the celebration, and that way something that is celebrated needs to be cherished and needs to be preserved. And that way you can put in more technology, you can put in more advancements, you can adopt a lot of different mechanisms to do it better, keep improving every day, but you shouldn't lose the core focus of what you want to try and do. We use a lot of technology called RFID, which is radio frequency identity devices. The purpose of this is that with the help of radio frequency or nowadays Bluetooth low energy, we are able to actually track each and every product that is there in the factory. We are fairly automated. We are probably one of the most automated mithai plants in the country, and that way we take pride in trying to automate all the processes, simply because that improves the hygiene and the quality of the product that we are trying to service. We are using AI to actually predict better what we want to produce, predict better what we want to source. With the help of this, we want to try and serve the freshest possible product to the customer, no matter where it is. And while all of this is there, we use technologies like theory of constraints to just keep improving all the productivity. If all of this is being done well, what we need to know is that what is working today is probably not going to work day after tomorrow. So we need to keep doing research and development for innovating in terms of process, innovating in terms of doing new in terms of products, and also in terms of people. Because better the people, better your chances of being successful. नात्यातला गोडवा जगतो आम्ही. So that has been our tagline till last year, and what it means is that we preserve the sweetness in every relation. And that way, as a brand, when we are coming with our food products, they are going to be something that either improve relation or celebrate relations or celebrate occasions. And that way, it is the human element of food that is something that we have to keep preserving, no matter how automated or how technology advanced we get, and how humanless we want to try and be. And that is what we try to communicate. And if that is communicated well, then that is when the customer picks up your packet. All of you are going to rise a wave because we are close to about 2 trillion, so we are going to go from 2 to 5 in less than a decade now. So our per capita income is going to go from about $2,000 across the country to about $15,000. Everybody sitting in this hall is going to have more money in their hands and less options to spend. So we have to create, as businesses, more options for everybody to spend so that there is a churning that happens. And that's why economics is very important, because the policies need to be helping businesses. India being a very socialist economy, we've not always been proactive on being economically open. So you, as the next generation of this country, has to be progressive about this and keep challenging every policy that is coming. Keep asking a lot of questions. A clear mind is a very crucial step towards achieving a clear business goal. So that's why have that clarity, build that clarity, and that only comes with asking again and again. And that way, what we need to see is that we need to preserve our value. Indian civilization is probably one of the oldest in the world. We, as a culture, have value which is far deep than what we so far know. So we need to preserve that, and we need to market India as the next story across the world. And all of you are the ambassadors for that. So I hope that all of you take it up seriously to be preserving those values and marketing those well. So businesses are meant to be profitable. How to make profit is a secondary thing. How much to make profit is a personal choice. So don't rush behind valuations, rush behind value. When it comes to creating more people around you, the main problem is that we are not very tolerant. Because somebody else's view can be different than yours, and maybe right or wrong is a different story, but appreciating that point of view is very crucial. And that's why I agree to disagree. Not everybody needs to agree to your opinion, but does not mean that you are wrong or they are right. And that's why I have that mandate in front of you where there is transparency and there is openness in communication. So technology is going at a much faster pace than humankind is evolving as a whole. And that's why remaining relevant with technology is irrespective and sacrosanct, in spite of what your technical background is, or even if you're not a technically educated person. Dinosaurs used to be on our planet about 65,000 years ago, and that way they were at that time the apex predator on the planet. Cockroaches used to be around at that time as well. But as of today, if you see, cockroaches are still around everywhere, and dinosaurs are now in the museum. So, you can be at your peak, but then you can go from your peak and be part of a museum and be part of a history. Or you can be perseverant like a cockroach, where so many billions of dollars are being spent by pharma companies to make cockroach killers, and cockroaches are still there. So that is the kind of perseverance that all of us need to have, and the dexterity that we need to have. And if we are that perseverant, I am sure we will outlast what our lifetime, whatever we create. And that is the aim of what Built to Last is, and that is something that I hope all of you do. I hope all of you end up becoming very successful leaders when you graduate, and that way you get onto a path of leadership as you progress. You have to focus on empowering people and coaching people to be better than what they are doing today. And remember that teamwork and building great teams is what actually leads to great successes. So you can't be the only hero, rather be the coach and build more heroes around you.